Hey, what's up good people, welcome to episode 9 of PWND. Now besides the obvious title, I'm pretty sure that you, my viewers, my supporters already know what I'm gonna do in this particular video. So I have it here. This is my modified BlasterPro S2500 or 2500, and at first glance it looks completely stock. Now before I get into this blaster, I just want to mention for the Singaporean nerfers out here, the Elite line is finally available in some stores in Singapore. Now someone actually spotted a Hailfire at Toys R Us, and people at ILN are like Nerf. Well, they've already gotten their hands on their own Hailfires, and I heard that Metro is actually carrying the Retaliator and the Rampage and the clip pack with the darts. So if you guys want to go check it out, you should. Alright, so now onto the video itself. As you can see, onto the blaster itself. As you can see, it looks almost completely stock. This is the thing, I actually undid this lock over here, so check it out. I can squeeze the trigger without squeezing the lock anymore. And the next cool thing is that I can actually double prime it, and I can also deprime the blaster. So that's the coolest things I actually did. No, I'm just kidding. Check it out. I can actually remove this thing, and in here you actually notice that it's completely different. Okay, so I'm sure that you guys are interested in what's going on and what I've actually did. I did I guess a kind of like a walkthrough while I was modding this thing. So yeah, first of all I will show you guys the internals, followed by what I did for the mod initially, and then I realized some stuff that actually happened and some things were actually impeding, especially the low air volume in the plunger tube, and then which led me finally to this. So before I carry on and show you guys the video, I want to just make a quick disclaimer. If you're going to watch the video, please watch the entire video all the way through first and understand my steps and the process I actually went through, and making mistakes, trial and error and things like that. So yes, I originally used a hopper, and definitely you are not able to apply to use a hopper application in this particular blaster due to the sheer lack of air volume in the plunger tube. Alright, so anyway, check out the mod video. Here we go. Hey, what's up good people? We have here in front of us the BlasterPro S2500, and what I'm going to do is going to run through with you guys how to open up the blaster and a quick look at the internals. Alright, so before we begin, you need two important tools: Phillips head screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver. This one is important, very very important, because you need it to actually pry some parts of the blaster apart after you remove the screws. So the good thing about this blaster over here is all of the screws are actually universal throughout the entire shell of the blaster itself. All screws are of the same size, so you don't have to worry about which screw port requires a longer screw or shorter screw. They're all the same. So first of all, before you actually open up the blaster, you got to remove the screws on the pump grip first, and there are 3 total on the pump grip. 1, 2, 3. So I have all of these removed actually. So what you do is just lift it up and take it aside. And just for fun, if you guys are interested in knowing how long the draw is, well, I have a ruler over here, and we're going to measure the draw. So the draw actually is about 3 inches. So it's a 3-inch long draw. You can see the number 3 in my thumb. Alright, so that's it, 3-inch long draw. Alright, and then once you get rid of the pump, there are a total of 10 screws that you have to remove on the shell or the main body of the blaster. And let's start in the clockwise fashion from here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So once you remove all these 10, you actually need your flathead screwdriver to start to pry the blaster into half. Right, so let's go. Now you have to be careful, especially near the trigger guard area, just at the bottom of the trigger guard. So that's where your grip is. Right, that's where I'm going to use my flathead screwdriver and start to remove. Alright, so now that I have the shell apart, I'm going to just remove this half, which has absolutely nothing on the inside. As you can see, I'm going to try and shine the light. Okay, there's nothing on the inside on this half, so we're going to put this half aside. Now comes the half in question. Right, so I'm going to bring this closer to you guys so that you can see. This spring over here is the safety mechanism. So it's a pretty simple but very effective safety mechanism where when you depress it, spring holds it in place, and it actually blocks the trigger pull over here. So this is the catch mag with the catch spring over here. Let me see if you can see in the camera. Yep, there's a catch spring, catch mag, trigger itself. Alright, and this is the plunger tube. Okay, so now in order to remove the plunger tube, you have to be careful of this piece over here. Alright, this part is I believe that this actually engages the hopper, and it opens and closes this part over here before your ammo falls inside. This will actually engage right at the end of the pump stroke, when this part of the priming rod actually engages this fella over here. He goes downwards and this thing lifts up like that, like so, from here. Alright, so in order to remove this thing, you have to remove the entire barrel, which is actually slotted into these three screw ports over here. No screws are holding this barrel together, and this barrel is completely removable. So let me just give you a quick demonstration, and try and pay attention, and you realize that there is actually a white stem over here that runs through the entire length of the barrel all the way to the tip. Okay, so here we go. First of all, you gotta grab this part over here, which is the hopper area. Here, this hopper clip part. You're gonna twist it in an outward fashion along with the barrel itself. Okay, now be careful not to lose any of the parts over here. They might drop out. So here we go. Okay, so here we go. I've removed it. Now I'm going to check out the barrel. So slide the entire barrel out like that. You can see this is the barrel itself. This is the hopper area. Okay, and this is the full barrel, or the barrel casing, barrel shell. So put this one aside. This itself. And now, in order to remove the plunger tube, okay, I have the priming rod over here. Put this aside. In order to remove the plunger tube, you have to come over here to this part, right here. Okay, and you're gonna slide it in upward fashion. So watch carefully as I go ahead and do that. Oh, okay, so I'm going to push the catch down first before I lift it up. So it comes right out, and this is the plunger rod itself. So the back is actually a squarish piece that slides in a groove over here. Okay, so this entire thing is a plunger rod assembly, or the plunger assembly, and it reminds me very much of a pistol splat. It's like an upsized version. Alright, so if you notice, the spring and the rod, this rod actually keeps the spring in place. So I'm going to put this rod aside, and the spring is actually a very, very long spring, very much like the pistol splat, and it's actually pretty beefy. It's quite a strong spring. Of course, something that we can definitely put in an upgrade for, you know. So this is the plunger tube with the plunger head, and the spring goes inside here. So I'm going to remove it just to show you guys. It's a transparent skirt seal, or some people call it a V-ring. I think it's called skirt seal. So I believe that this plunger head is exactly the same as the one used in I think it's the Exploders line. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to put this one here. Okay, I'm going to just leave this on the side here, and what I have in my hand on the other side is a Night Finder plunger tube. So this is a Night Finder plunger rod. I'm going to put this aside first because that's not what's of interest right now. Night Finder plunger tube and the S2500 plunger tube, and a side-by-side comparison from the air output to the air output tip. And you realize that the S2500 has a slightly longer plunger tube, and diameter wise they are roughly the same, just that the S2500 is slightly wider in ID and OD. So you have a plunger tube that is almost the same as a Night Finder's plunger tube, just slightly bigger. Alright, so it's nothing comparable to blasters like the long shot or the air zone triple shot or the hand cannon, you know, or even the PAS, because a lot of nerfers are actually comparing this blaster to the pump action shotgun. Alright, so now we are going to compare the plunger head size. So I'm going to get this plunger head and the Night Finder plunger head. As you can see, they are about the same. It's just that because of the skirt seal, this is actually a wider plunger head. So I'm going to try and show you guys. What if I try and fit the skirt seal into a Night Finder plunger tube? It will not go in. See, or vice versa, or vice versa, however you want to say it. Knife finder plunger tube, knife finder rod into the S2500 plunger tube, and it's just way too loose. Absolutely no seal at all whatsoever. So now I want to show you guys the seal of the stock plunger head and the S2500 plunger tube. Right, so I'm gonna just plug up this hole over here, the output release, and I'm gonna push. So as you can see, it's not a perfect seal, but it's a very good seal. It's about 90%, where I can actually feel some compression first before the air starts to escape. You hear that? Alright, I'm going to try and pull it so I see whether there's any vacuum reaction. Right? Very slight. There's a slight vacuum reaction, and I feel a lot of resistance when I try and push it forward. So check it out. So that's what it is. That's a stock seal. Alright, so I think that this stock seal is actually pretty good. So this is the internals. So if you guys are wanting to, you know, rebarrel this fella, all you gotta do is just get rid of this well, let me see if I can get the light. Well, yeah, okay, right there you see this little plastic piece in the center. You want to get rid of this thing, or you want to cut this down, I don't know, and then you want to attach a coupler on it. So if you sit it back in place, should be something like that. Okay, yeah, it should be something like that. There you go. So then your coupler will be right here, and then the space, original space for the hopper is over here. So if you cut this out, it's ideal to put a Y, and then you can actually have a dot hopper, you know, the Nerf application, that hopper inside. So don't confuse yourself, and I mean not to confuse everybody with the hopper system that is originally stock on this blaster. Alright, so hopefully this gives you a better insight on the internals and the workings of this blaster. Alright, so here are all these the supports, and this is the trigger mechanism over here. Oops, I dropped something, and that was the safety spring that I dropped. I'm sorry. And this is the priming bar itself, and honestly the priming bar is well, pretty flimsy. It's made of a pretty thin plastic, so I do not know how much stress this fella can take. Right, and this is the entire hopper assembly, and you can just remove everything like that. It just comes out. So I do believe that this thing actually fits a little bit like a coupler, but I do believe that the connection, so many connections in between, plus the fact that there is a movable well, entry for the hopper, for the darts or the ammo, will create a slight, you know, slight leaks in the entire system. Alright, the last thing I want to say before I actually cut off this video is that this orange tip is glued on to the grey part over here, and these are not held in by screws. They just you can actually split them up. As you can see, this is as far as it goes, and it stops here because the glue is holding this whole entire area in place. So I suggest that if any of you want to open up this guy and use this barrel as a full barrel, or put a PETG or whatever barrel material you want on the inside, please go dip this part in boiling water for a few seconds, and then try and wiggle it free. Alright, so I'm gonna do that, and since this fella is already open and in such a state, I will just go ahead and perform some mods on it. So hey guys, I'd like to make a correction to what I mentioned about the barrel just now. Okay, the front is not glued on. I apologize. The orange cap that's a snap-on cap. Alright, this thing is made of two halves, as you can see. So you can actually just remove all these notches and everything on the inside in order for you to fit like your PETG or something. But when you piece these two halves together, you get these little well, you know what I mean, these little clips over here, and they actually clip on the inside here, right here. So they clip on, and that's why it looked like it was glued on, because there was a little bit of excess paint over here. As you can see from the reflection of the light, there's some excess paint that made it look like it was super glued, but it's not. It's just clipped. So all I did was I got a smaller flathead screwdriver. I slowly pushed it on the inside and then yanked it up. Just came right out, no damage done whatsoever. So yep, that's my update for this part. Alright, what you are looking at right now is a modified version of the S2500, and I've basically done a very simple modification. It's just for fun. I do not know if it's going to work very well because of the plunger tube volume. As you guys already know, I don't even know if this kind of volume is able to support a hopper application. But I'm just doing this for fun. So the modification is pretty simple actually. I just put a hopper here, I shaved out some part of the shell, and I cut this much off. I think this is like about, yeah, well, about an inch or so of the original air output, and I basically group everything in. So let me try and show you the plunger tube. Okay, oops, okay, that was a spring. Right, so exploding internal, so you guys know. Yep, so that's what I did basically. Just glued everything down. Right, so shell work, I will not show you this half, I'll show you the other half so it's easier for me to explain. Basically, alright, Dremel down this whole area over here, and then this is actually for the barrel side. Right, on the internals, right, the main shell itself, I Dremel down this entire area over here. Okay, and then I Dremel down I Dremel a slot over here, but I'll get to that in a short while. I got rid of this part, and I had to remove one of the screw ports, which is, I believe, this screw port over here, and one more up here. So I had to get rid of these two screw ports in order for me to fit the hopper inside. So on the top, basically what I did was, as you can see, I cut out a slot, and well, just so you guys know, from this little lip over here, okay, to the other end of the shell, it's just nice. It's a perfect fit for the width of the hopper, or the Y. Right, so what I did was I cut a slot over here, did this, got rid of this area, nothing else done to the back. So that's pretty good, very minimal shell work. And this is what's done to the barrel half. So I basically well, Dremel down these two ports over here, this one over here, and then this half is not so affected. It's the other half whereby I had to actually cut off some parts of these little, I guess this little, I don't know, tabs. Right, so in order for it to fit, and that is why over here, as you can see, it's a Y to a short stub of 15mm PVC, or half-inch PVC, and then it goes straight into a PETG barrel. Yep, and this is a chopper application, so you have that little guide on the inside of the hopper. So let me just put this one back in place. It should sit like so. Alright, so there it sits in place. Now let me just share with you guys a little bit more about the internals of the blaster itself, and I will explain to you what are the locks and what I'm going to do to remove the locks. So anyway, I'll just put this one back in place first, so pardon me for a short while. Okay, there we go. So it sits in very nicely. Okay, this is the original priming bar. As you can see, it's pretty thin and it's very, very flimsy. So if you guys are like the make it go kind of guy, you would basically epoxy putty the whole thing up just to strengthen it. Now for me, this mod is just for fun. I am not changing the spring, so I don't see a reason why I have to do any modifications to this. What I did was I cut off the original, well, there was a little tab up here that was sticking up, and that was to engage the original hopper, which is this thing over here, whenever you primed it back. Now the cool thing about the blaster in its stock form is you realize that towards the end of the pump stroke, you feel a strong resistance, and once you manage to pull past that, you feel the entire blaster kind of shake, like a sudden shake. And that system is actually pretty neat. It's designed to sort of give your blaster a little shake so that it would actually have one ammo dropping in, like kind of like jigging your blaster whenever you have an RCB application. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the priming bar. I'll put this aside. Right, so now I'm going to get into the locks, so you guys look carefully. This is of course the trigger, and this is the, I guess, the trigger arm, as you can see. Right, so this trigger itself is screwed in to this guy over here. They're connected by this screw. So once I have this safety switch out, you can actually see how that works. I'm going to have to hold this spring in place in case it pops up. Alright, so that's how it works. So you see the whole thing moving like so. Okay, so now obviously there was this particular safety button that was designed in the blaster, and what it would do is that basically this tab over here, this black tab, this one, will be blocking the arm over here from moving. So whenever you depress it, it lifts up like that, and then this can move forward. So one or two ways to get rid of this: either you take it out and leave a gaping hole, or you shave down this part over here, or you get rid of this tab. The spring lies right here, like so. So I want to get rid of this tab, and all I have to do is just get a pair of nibblers, and I will do the job right now because I want to remove this lock. I don't see a need for me to have a trigger lock. So yeah, I'm going to get rid of this. There we go. Let's try and clean it up a little bit. Make sure that none of it sticks up and impedes the movement of the trigger arm, right, the trigger mechanism. Can't really see because it's pretty bad lighting, so I apologize, but I'm doing my best over here. Alright, so I think that should do the trick. Okay, so now that it's flush and everything, let's try and fit it back in over here, and let's try and pull the trigger. So it works, as you can see, even though it's down, it works. I'm holding it down with my left index finger. Okay, that I'm gonna press it down because that's what the position will be in whenever you have the spring engaged, and then when you pull the trigger, it works. So nothing's impeding the movement, so that's fine. I'm going to put this original spring back on top. Now next up is, there's a, I wouldn't call it a bolt lock. There is also a trigger lock over here that engages whenever you pull this back. So you notice, this is to prevent you from squeezing the trigger with the pump in the primed position. That's why you have to prime it back and push it forward in order for you to squeeze the trigger. So now I'm going to get rid of this thing very simply. Grab yourself a Phillips head screwdriver, remove this one screw. That's more than enough actually. So I'll remove this one over here. Okay, lift this part up and take out this piece underneath, this one over here. Just take it out, and it is a piece that looks a little bit like this. So I'm getting rid of this piece over here. Put it aside, and I'm going to screw this whole thing back right down. You actually don't really need this screw, but I'm just going to do it anyway. That's just preventive measures to hold it in place. Now the last lock in this blaster is this piece over here, and this is called the, I mean, we would call it in Nerf, this is the bolt lock. So it's like, this actually prevents you from double priming your blaster, which in I guess in other words, in the way I see it, it prevents me from easing the spring. So I can't just de-prime my blaster once I've primed it, and that to me is well, something that I do not really want, because number one, this is a hopper system, it's not a clip fed system. Number two, I don't see any problems with me double priming the blaster, just in case you guys are interested in knowing. Yeah, so once you push it forward, you can't pull it back, so you want to get rid of this thing. So what you gotta do is very simply just remove just this one screw over here and take out the entire whole orange, I would say that rod looking like piece, that squarish piece over there. So I'm going to take out this screw over here. Okay, put it aside, and I'm going to take out this whole piece, but I got to slightly lift out the plunger first, and I'm going to just lift it up and take it out. So this is the piece in question with the little spring. It's a pretty unique idea, so you got to look at it this way. Once the plunger is in the forward position, this does not get engaged, but once you pull it back, the plunger actually presses this part down, and so the spring pushes this up, and so this prevents one of the bars, actually I can't really tell which one right now, yeah, this thing over here from moving back. So you have to make sure that it's down first before you can actually prime it. So I don't really want this. Take it out and leave it there. So now this blaster, now the internals are lockless, and that's how you remove all the locks on this blaster. So next, what I'm going to do is just close this up and give you guys a final demo. Alright, so anyway, thanks for staying tuned, and just make sure that you're experienced enough to know what each lock does, and you decide on your own for yourself what are the locks that you wish to keep and what you wish not to keep. Personally, I would always keep a lock in, especially the bolt lock when I'm using a clip fed application. Well, guess what guys? Now I realized something in this blaster, and you can tell that there's a little like squarish or rectangular slot over here, right here. Okay, and if you notice, where's my screwdriver? Okay, if you notice that the plunger itself, the plunger tube has a squarish piece over here. And then when I lifted this part up, I realized I just did that there's a slot on the plunger tube. Let me show you guys what I mean. See this slot over here, right? Okay, there's a slot over here, and there is a little nub on the flip side of the priming bar, this nub. So what this nub does is it goes inside this slot over here, this one, and it goes all the way back. Now this is a short draw, so I came to realize that in the stock blaster itself, it's kind of like the Elite blasters. When you prime it back towards the end for about the last 1 inch or so, if you can compare the slot from this slot, the length of this slot over here, and the length of this particular slot, you can see that this is about 1 inch longer than this. So for the last 1 inch or so, the plunger tube actually moves back. The entire plunger tube moves back. And in this application, I have actually no real idea why that happens, but I do believe it's to kind of chamber the ammo in. So you pull it back, the ammo drops inside here, this flap, and then when you push it back forward, you can see that it, well, let's use this application. Oh no, let's use this application instead. So this fellow over here actually goes in and it pushes forward and closes and creates a better seal. Alright, so like I said earlier, this works like a coupler on the on both ends, and this one would not be moving much. This whole piece stays in place. The plunger tube air output is the tip of the screwdriver. It goes in and you prime it back, pulls back, so, and it shakes the blaster at the same time, so one ammo drops inside and then you push it forward all the way, closes up and creates a seal and fires. And I kind of like this application, but the only problem is now, because I'm trying to fire darts out of it, and for the fact that I'm using a hopper and we glued it all in place with the wall actually blocking the movement of the hopper. As you can see, there's a wall on the inside over here. If I were to prime it too hard, I might actually destroy the seal that's created over here, where this wire would stay in place and the plunger tube moves back. So I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this. So instead of cutting a slot over here, the easy way out is to cut this knob, cut this knob off with my trusty old nibblers. So that's what I'm going to do now. Unfortunately, I have to do that. So yeah, sorry about the sudden revelation, guys, because I'm actually modding this you know, on the fly and learning about this blaster and sharing it with you at the same time. Alright, so here we go. Just get rid of this guy, try and make it a little bit neater. Alright, let's see if that works. I just want to get it a bit, just a bit neater. Sorry guys, I'm kind of a perfectionist. Okay, so let me see if I can do that. Alright, so I decided not to be lazy and I went to Dremel this knob down instead. Yeah, so now it's much better. I've got a much better I guess a groove over here, and so this thing should work like a charm on the inside of the blaster right now. So that is the completed internal modifications done to the blaster in its entirety. So thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the main video when after I close this up and give you guys a demo. Peace. Okay, so I hope that actually gave you a little bit more insight and more details and information about the internals of the blaster and the steps that I took. So anyway, now what I want to share with you guys is what my final product is. It's not a hopper, it's yes, you guessed it, 13mm PVC with a little bit of I guess a stub of the coupler with this old fat vintage nerve screw. I think it's a vintage nerve screw. It's black and it's thick, so that's what I think it is. And it's got a PETG barrel on the inside, and the PETG barrel is actually about 8 inches long. Yeah, it should be 8 inches long. So basically this screw over here acts like a little knob that I can actually move up and down, that opens and closes a breech in the PETG itself. Now this thing, I have to admit, the breech is not 100% sealed, simply because of the way I modded it. It's got about 95% seal. I can feel some air leaks when you have the breech in the closed position. It might be, I guess I could fix it if I were to put a rubber O-ring at the back, but not right now. I actually have more, I guess I have further plans for this mod to further improve the performance of the blaster. So now I'm just gonna try and get the light and show you guys that yes, there's a breech inside there. And now this thing accepts Stefan's. Unfortunately, doesn't accept streamline length darts, simply because I'm not able to bend and squeeze the dart all the way in. So now I'm going to give you guys a quick firing demo before I end off this mod video. So check it out. Off the bat, I want to just tell you guys the performance isn't too fantastic. It's performing about the same as a very lightly modded Night Finder. So that's kind of sad. So anyway, I got a bunch of Stefan's on the table, and I'll be loading them into the breech like so. Let me see if I can get it on camera. Right, so I gotta get behind the camera so I can see it. Okay, so that's the breech. Alright, and just get a dart, put it right there like so, and then you push it in. Sits very nicely, and you pull the screw to actually close the tab and make sure it's all the way at the back, and then we prime the blaster. push all the way forward, aim at something and fire. So as you can see, that's the performance. It's nothing fantastic, nothing to I guess shout about. Right, so I'm just gonna give you firing demo of the rest of the darts over here. I have a total of 4 darts, so I'll be just firing them off one by one. So I'm gonna do it the traditional method where I fire the blaster first, load the dart inside, close out the breech and fire. Yeah, so that one shot pretty well. I'm thinking it's something due to the foam. Right, so fire the blaster. Oh, one dart dropped on the floor. Put the white foam dart in, close the breech and fire. One more, just for fun. And for the last one, I'll just do it up close again once more for the camera. This is the breech in its closed position. I don't know if I can actually, I don't want to block it, so just move this up like that. Open up the breech. Get your dart. So I love how this pink dart actually looks like a typical shotgun shell. Alright, so I'm gonna just find the blaster like so. Grab that, close it down in its closed position. Take aim. Let's see if I can aim nicely. Yeah, okay, take aim and fire. Yeah, so there you have it. The modified BlasterPro S2500. Do I think it's worth modding? No. Simply because of the lack of air volume in the plunger tube. I mean, it's a pretty simple mod. You guys actually saw in the video. This mod, with all the dremeling and everything, could be easily done in maybe, I say, a few hours, depending on the tools that you have. I would say 4 hours max, 4 hours tops. If you don't have a Dremel, you can actually use a pair of nibblers and get rid of all the shell work. But it was honestly a lot more fun when it was stopped and being able to fire all this off. Now, I don't think that it's impossible for me to undo this mod and make it, you know, I guess reverse engineer or rewind or undo this mod and remod it back to the stock form. But since it already is what it is, I told myself, when I'm a little bit more free, I will probably try to well, I guess improve on this mod and make this semi-beast, because it's got pretty good aesthetics, as you can see, and it'll be a shame if I can't really fire off Nerf dart applications. Yep. So, oh yeah, I forgot to let you guys know that I dremeled a big slot over here, and this is actually enough for me to fit a PETG tube on the inside, like so. Just so you know, it's loose enough. However, sometimes I guess depending on the dart fit, darts might bounce on the inside, because this now acts as a short length of full barrel. Yeah, so it's just useless. But anyway, so now I can easily deprime the blaster. I don't need to squeeze the what do you call it, the safety button anymore. And the reason why I left this in is because I didn't want to have a gaping hole, and I thought it was pretty cool to have this springy thing. It's like it's a weird sensation before you actually fire a blaster. I don't know. So anyway, on to the next part of the video. Just a quick announcement. There is a user, I guess a member, not a user. A user sounds wrong. There is a member on the pSykSG forums, and he goes by the handle of ILN. ILN stands for I like Nerf, or I should say I like Nerf, because of the way he spells it. But anyway, he's been a very, I guess, active member of the pSykSG community, and I want to give him a big shout out, kudos. He actually had an entry in the Singapore Hasbro Nerf video challenge, and I thought that his video was really good. I don't want to get into politics over here. He didn't win, but I felt that he deserved to win. Now, if you guys are interested in checking out the video, please click this link over here, and I hope that you guys will give him a chance, because that video basically kind of captures the entire feeling of what it's like to be in a war. I mean, a Nerf war. You know, I'm pretty sure all of you experienced Nerfers who have been to wars and you know, had fun and had a good experience and good time. You actually can relate a lot to this particular video that he did. So he, besides being an avid Nerfer, he's also a budding photographer and a budding videographer, and I thought that he had some really good shots in it, and it really captured the essence and the emotions while you know, Nerfers are attending a war and participating in it. So big shout out to ILN. Good job. I like Nerf. Keep it up, man. Next up, before I actually cut off this video, the next episode of Pwn is episode 10. and I guess it's a mini milestone in a sense, not even my 100th video, but if you were to count my other channel, yes, I have more than, I guess, a couple hundred, but that doesn't really matter. And so for my 10th video, I'm going to do a giveaway, so you guys gotta stay tuned. There will be some rules, one of which is the fact that this giveaway is only open to my subscribers, because you guys have been following me for so long. Now, you already know that one of the prizes is the S2K. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out this video over here. The internal swapped out with a AirTech 2000 sharpshooter tool. My mind is just everywhere. The sharpshooter tool featuring the AirTech 2000 air tank internals. That's what I should call it. So yeah, that's one of the prizes, and I'm actually giving out 3 prizes in total, and the challenge will be issued to you guys next episode 10 of Pwn. Alright, so stay tuned for that, and I guess it's gonna be a pretty interesting challenge, and I hope to wreck all your brains and all your resourcing skills. I hope I'm not giving away too much information. So anyway, this has been episode 9 of Pwn. My opinions on this: if you guys actually get a BlasterPro S2500, I suggest you do not mod it. It was so much more fun, I felt, in my opinion, so much more fun shooting out all this hydro ammo. Of course, I couldn't be shooting it around my house all the time. I would just mess up the whole place indoors. So if you're gonna go outdoors, this is the way to go. It shot hard, it shot far, it shot fast, and 175 ammo at any one time inside the ammo clip. I thought that was pretty sweet, and it would just give you endless hours of fun as compared to using this as a Nerf blaster instead. But you know how I do, I just do these mods just for you guys. So once again, performance out of this modded blaster with the stock spring, stock plunger seal, and rebarreling to PETG Barrel, it's nothing fantastic. Even if the seal was 100%, I don't think it'll be getting that fantastic ranges. The most I see it hitting up to is actually 50 feet or 55 feet, which is about the same as, say, a knife finder. And a properly modified knife finder can actually hit up to 70 over feet. But this thing is just huge, and for it to actually get those kind of ranges, I don't think it's worth it. It's cumbersome to actually use a blaster like this. It might as well just be a pistol. So if I chop this whole thing off and I single it, then you know what I'm talking about. So I will stop blabbering right now. Alright, so anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all the support. Stay tuned for episode 10. Get ready for the giveaway. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great week ahead. Peace.